10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi, it's me. Who is me? I don't know. Well, I've picked up a few hints over the past 71 years, but I'm still not completely sure. Why? Because I keep finding new information that usurps the old information that I was given. That's had me pretty darn upset. I don't know, I'm one of those people that just wants truth at any cost. And that is exactly what this podcast will be about. Truth at any cost. I thought I'd start out by talking about myself. Why? Because it's a warm-up, an icebreaker. And besides, it's what I know the most about. And by the time I get warmed up with that, maybe I'll be halfway, getting to the good stuff. And that's why I'm here, is to share truth. That's really the crux of my entire existence, has been to share truth. And sometimes I've had to work really hard for it. Well, warm up icebreaker. I thought to myself, everyone likes to talk about themselves, don't they? Not really. If you ask people, they'll go on, I don't like to talk about myself. Well, we don't like to talk about ourselves unless we have something to say, right? So, do people like to talk about themselves? I think the answer to that is, if someone else is interested, what they really like is the attention that says, you're important to me. And I think that's such a key to living happy lives, is being understood. I know for me, the whole world can seem a mess and every darn thing going wrong, and I really don't want anybody to fix it. All I want is for someone to empathize with me, someone to say, gosh, I've been in that place before. It must feel pretty rough right now. And give me a chance to get that yuck out. As soon as I get that yuck out, I'm well. I'm healed. Because we really can. As it says, physician, heal thyself. We own this stuff in here. We ought to be able to talk to it and tell it what to do. And that's one of the things that I hope to bring out in this podcast. Well, who am I? Are we two sides of one pole, or are we just the whole thing? Is spirit over here and science over here? Do we have a body or a form, and then spirit jumps in it? Or is it all in one? I thought about that this morning, and I really think it has to be all in one. And the reason I say that is because everything works together in me. If I feel good, I act good, I think good, I do good work. If I don't feel good, if my mind isn't right, or I'm sleepy, or something hurts, I don't do good work. I don't ask good questions. I'm not a good friend. No one wants to be around me. And so the body and the mind and the heart and the spirit, I think all have to work together as far as I can see. So where do we start in life? I guess we all come out basically the same. If there's ever a time that we're created equal, maybe that's it. When we don't have a stitch on in our birthday suit, as Grandma used to say. You know what else she used to do? She was a nut. and probably the savior of my life if there was, I've had a couple. Marion counts as one. But if I've had somebody really special, it would have been my grandma growing up. And she would butter our noses on our birthday. So on your birthday, you could look forward to her coming around the corner in the morning, usually with her hairnet on, a pink hairnet with a doodle doodle on the top, and her night coat, and she'd be walking by and a big old glob of butter on the nose. She told us it was so we'd shine all day, and we did, and we hated it. But man, does it bring back some great memories, and just make me think of how unique my grandma was. I've never cared about being different or unique. As a matter of fact, I kind of like it. It's a good thing, because our whole family's a little wacko. Maybe you feel that way too, but I think I've got credentials. Speaking of which, who am I? I can tell you what my values are. Of course, this won't include all of them, and I hope that you can do this too. Could you sit and just rattle off your values? What's most important to you? I'm not talking about principles, but values. Like some people might value animals. Some people might value a dog more than a cat. Some people might value conversation. Some people might value exercise, language, soccer, family. My values are, I think they're all pretty relative, but nature, absolutely. I couldn't live without it. I can go out in the woods or go to the ocean and be changed in a minute. It's like a magic wand. And I'm well. Good health. I've worked really hard all my life, and for 71, it's not too bad. I need to work on that muscle, but you got to take care of the goose if you want the golden eggs. That's what Stephen Covey said. I think it was him, that you're not going to get the golden eggs unless you're taking care of that goose pretty darn well. So the goose is number one with me. Wish it always been that way emotionally, and my self-esteem had been that way, but for whatever reason, I guess I came with a strong body. My parents were strong physically, and we were always active. So I knew that if I was going to compete in this crazy world, I would have to be in shape. And there's some other reasons. Help me get guys too. But my grandma used to say, Cynthia, you're always exercising. And I was. It was a good thing. Trust me, I got addicted to some bad things too. Another, probably my highest value, is freedom. I haven't been feeling free lately. I don't know about you, but I get damned aggravated every time I pick up my phone. It doesn't do what I want it to do. It tells me what to do. It tells me when I leave my tablet somewhere. I don't want help like that. It might think it's helping me, but don't help me unless I ask for it, damn it. So I'm pretty frustrated. Freedom is very high on my list. Wisdom, knowledge, understanding, high values. Dance music. Sets me free. Competition. I love competition. I don't know why. That might be born into us. Some people don't like to compete, but you want to wake me up? Tell me I'm competing with somebody. And I'm always competing with myself. We've always got a competitor right inside. Animals. Those are the things I love. Communication, language, books. Friends that understand me. Okay, most of my loves are either loves or hates. I'm not a gray. I'm not a lukewarm person. And I hate small talk. First thing I do is hug a person because I sure as hell don't want to do any small talk, like weather stuff. Pfft, we don't even know what the weather is anyway, even if we see it. What do I hate? I've told you what I loved. Maybe you're resonating with some of this stuff, or maybe you're making your own list. And maybe you're thinking of things I left out. Maybe I need some reminders. Or I could probably tell you why they're not on my list. I know one thing that's not on my list is children. They rock my frickin' world. Okay, I hate most of all deception. It just ruins everything. Everything. I hate litter. I hate plastic. I hate fake. I hate deceptive people and secrets. And don't ever ask me to keep a secret. Impossible. I hate abuse. I hate sin consciousness. It's a bold-faced lie. Someone made it up to keep us judging and pointing fingers and hating and cutting down and criticizing. And oh, I just hate it. We have empathy in us. I hurt when someone hurts. And that's normal and natural. And you have that too. No one has to tell us when we do wrong. We know it inside because we're intuitive. We've been endowed with great, miraculous qualities. Intuition. What's the word? It's not coincidence, but, when things just kind of hook up right. I hate Band-Aids. I want to dig that thing out and dig it out now. And I will never tidy a house. It's a full-on cleaning or it ain't getting nothing. I'm emptying everything in the room and putting it back after I wipe it all down, or we're not doing it. That's me. It's all or nothing. And I guess I need to tell you a couple other things. Maybe we could play a game with this. Like, why don't you be thinking, as I tell you these things, about what my programming might be based on these things that I experienced or that were part of my growing up. Think about what kind of paradigms would these things cause me to have, and then do your own, hoping that as I talk, you're doing your own work. And if not, we'll come back because I have a whole course on this stuff. Particularly, I'm in the process of redoing it based on cycles. Everything's cycles. You're a cycle, I'm a cycle. The wash is a cycle. The drying is a cycle. The sun is a cycle. The weather is a cycle. Our bodies are cycles. Everything cycles. Okay, I'm looking over there because I got some notes. I was the oldest of 7 biological children. When my mom got pregnant with me, she was 13. Yeah, and then had 8 biological children every 18 months. The last one didn't make it, and my brother died at age 16. So there's 6 of us left. My parents were very young. My father was 17 and my mom was 13. So you can imagine it was quite the different household. I was born in Aquarian on Friday the 13th, which if you know anything about astrology, I am a perfect fit. They are outrageous, weird, quacky, quirky. They love science and spirit, and that's perfectly true about me. I love both. People would say, well, do you want to look at this or look at that? Or like in accounting, or do you want to watch the movie or do you want to do numbers? I want to do both. I like both. I love the management and I love the entrepreneurial creativity. So that's kind of weird. I don't find that many people, and I think it's one reason I'm a good investigator. Okay, what else? When you take like the Enneagram, which is based on ancient knowledge, very cool stuff. I'm an INTP, which means introverted. You wouldn't think that. You'd think I was extroverted, but that sometimes is just what I do to make people comfortable, or people give me energy and I take it all in. So I love to speak in front of big crowds. I've spoken all over the world, and the bigger the crowd, the better. But I'm introverted. As soon as it's over and I've given out or I've tried to bless what the audience needs, I go home and crash. I don't want to see another person. And I'll spend months or years preparing. Like this work I've done here, I've spent 5 years prepping for this speech. Hopefully I'll give one. I'm a communicator. I like to share and talk and ask questions. I'm a take charge person, much to most of the people who know me, they don't love it, but I am. I was the oldest of 7 kids. I had to. I have some powerful ancestors. Lots of them. I don't quite understand it, and we'll get to that, but my grandfather, Moses Ball, my grandma was Hazel Ball from Princeton, West Virginia, died in the Wool Democrat, and the Ball family, Moses Ball, was a next door neighbor of George Washington. And we are related in a strange way to him. I have not figured it out, but they were surveyors together, and George talks about Moses coming over to talk about a mortgage or something about land, probably a debt. Who knows? I never figured out where we lost the money, but man, we got some highfalutin ancestors out there. We grew up probably lower middle class, I think. I would say middle class were people that could pay your bills, or that, you know, had, well, we always, I don't think we had food all the time, but we didn't know it. We didn't have heat all the time, but Mom never really let us know it, which is a whole nother story. So let's just say we didn't have much money. No one ever asked me if I wanted to go to college, and I never thought that I was of that caliber, ever. So I just figured I'd be pregnant, married, and I did it. I married an alcoholic just like mine, and that's a long story. He went off, joined the Air Force, which we decided, and then he married another woman before he got home. And that was really strange and very painful. But I survived, and I built myself up, and I made it. And then I remarried him and moved to Florida, where I started in the cemetery industry and ran a ton of cemeteries and funeral homes, which would be a real gift in my life. And I have lots of stories about that stuff. What's wrong with me? Oh my goodness, where do we start? I'm bossy, right? And I asked you to think about what I would be based on this information. What would a person be that was the oldest of a bunch of kids to a very young mother? You'd be forced into leadership, wouldn't you? Whether you were good at it or not. What are some other things? I feel like people always thought I was strange. And I'm sure I never got enough from my mom or my dad. I don't think any of us did. And so I've had problems with intimate relationships because I'm a wimp. When it comes to talking about intimate things, I'm too worried I'm going to hurt somebody or I'm not going to be good enough. And so I have really lousy personal relationships with my family and sisters and nieces and all that because I don't know how to be real. I only know how to help somebody or fix something or teach something. That's all I really know. And I don't think they love that at all. It bothers me and I want to get better at it, but it's going to require that I'm not a wimp with people. And so I'm working on that, but I'm not quite there yet. Okay, so let me get some water here. When I've had lots of great experiences. I managed a number of cemeteries and funeral homes. I was what you call, can't even think of it, the word, it's a weird word, but it's when you can prepare a body to be cremated, a direct disposer. So I had all kinds of licenses because I didn't go to college, but I love to learn, so I just learned whatever I wanted. I got an insurance license, real estate license, community association manager license, direct disposer license. I went to as high as I could in the cemetery industry and became a certified cemetery executive, one of the first women and one of the first in the industry, and taught and designed programs, and I really, really loved working in the cemetery. That taught me a lot, and I ended up becoming a speaker and a consultant, still a problem solver, but I was asked to come down and build a brand new cemetery for a Christian man that was looking for someone like me because I prayed with my staff, and I was weird, and they liked my weird. And that was interesting because he had a Jewish man that was kind of above me, but a partner. And that was an interesting relationship, which I'll touch on more later. I knew that there was something very spiritual in me from the minute I opened my eyes, I'm sure. But as a little girl, I remember carving out this little area in my room where I could put this Bible that my aunt gave me with my name on it. And I knew the 23rd Psalm, and I was really proud of that. And I didn't know a lot about church because we only went if we wanted a Sunday. We weren't like that. We didn't go to church except on special occasions and usually didn't make it then. And so I didn't know really what was wrong, but I was a conservative Christian, and I represented everything that was. And I went to January 6th, and on that day, I watched my whole world fall apart right before me. I trusted. I was patriotic. I loved this country. My parents did. My grandma did. We talked about Old Glory, and every time we went by the flag, we talked about Old Glory. And after January 6th, I knew something was really wrong. And at that time, I was having suspicions about the Bible and Jesus. My best friend had found out, and a woman that I did some missionary work with had found out that they didn't believe Jesus was real. And I had really never believed Jesus was real, but I wasn't brave enough to say it. So that lit me up. And the combination of trying to prove the Bible, trying to figure out what happened on January 6th, and the more I found out, the more upset I was. And I fell into the deepest depression of my life. I've always had struggles, but I've expected that life is an up and down roller coaster, and that the hard times give you muscles to, and just like this. And so that didn't scare me, but I had been following Dr. Amen from the Amen Clinic since the 70s because all of our family had issues, and I wanted help. I wanted help for me, and I wanted help for my son and for my sisters and my brother, and so the depression was so bad I couldn't get up. And after a couple months, I told my husband I had to get help. And so I called to Amen and found out that I could get in for under $5,000. And I drove myself to Atlanta and had the brain scan. Well, I'll tell you what, I was worse off when I got the report. They said I had major depression, PTSD, acute anxiety, a brain injury probably, and major ADHD. And I just didn't know what to do. I thought, well, just bury me. But slowly by surely, I got it back together. I had been through 6 personal suicides in one period and gone in for therapy, and they put me on Zoloft in the 80s. I had been on 200 milligrams of Zoloft for 30 years. And I told them it wasn't working. And they said, well, we'll add this. And I went, no, thank you. And I tossed it. Well, I knew you weren't supposed to do that, but I did it anyway because I couldn't be worse. So it added to the depression, and it took me about 1.5 years to start feeling like a human again. But I did, and every day has been better. And I'm free of everything, even sugar, because I worked harder on getting healthy. And I have a lot to say about the drugs and antidepressants and Botox, and I've got a lot to say about that. I've done a lot of research on it, and you'll want to hang on and hear it. I'll get to it. So when I got my brain scan, I started working really hard, and I threw myself into this research. I had always done Lumosity to keep my brain going. I never thought I was very smart, and it looks like maybe I am a little smart. Like, I took a quick IQ test and it was 119. I don't know what that all means, but I know it means I'm not dumb, and I ace all the tests, and I'm at the 99 percentile for my age. So I know I've got something going for me, even if I am a little Looney Tunes and a little off the charts, as people would say. How am I off the charts? Well, I'm impulsive, and I have a really hard time managing my emotional, if something makes me mad, I scream. And if I love something, I hug it to death and jump up and down. I'm passionate. And an ADHD person just doesn't control themselves well, and neither do I. But I've been successful from an outsider's view. I've been looked up to. I have lots of awards and ribbons, and I've written books, and I'm going to get this podcast done, and it's going to be a good one, by damn. That's the first of it all. That's who I am. Right now, I think I covered all my points, the important ones. Right now, I am going through Ancestry, and that's part of this because I found that my ancestors were the aristocrats, the Plantagenets from the Stuart family. And boy, did that open up some doors when I was trying to figure out this colonize, convert, control deal. And we'll get into that. Okay, so here's my board. That's my timeline. And to sum it up for today, I'm going to say thank you for sharing your time with me. I'm on a journey I call the Wilderness Journey. I hope you'll join me. It's going to be a blast. We're going to figure some things out. Over and out. It's me.